morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everyone doing today? I hope really supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, because that's how I'm doing. I actually went to go see a movie last night. So for those that know a little bit more about my personal life than others, I have this nagging restrictions, right? So I've been unable to actually be home since the 26th and all that goes with it. And in the time period between the 26th and today, my days are really focused. Now, they're always focused, but there's less variables in it now. And unfortunately, I would never want to consider kids variables, but let's talk about it scientifically, right? Like there's a day, there's obligations, there's responsibilities, and those are the variables. I would trade the variable of my kids for anything, so let's just put that out there. But having this decision made for me opens up a lot of free time. Now, that free time is spent working. The energy that goes into the work is from them. So let me just kind of step back a little bit. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transferred. That is scientific law. So when something happens in your life that you get really upset about, or something, or something hurts and you feel heartbroken, where you just want to die on the floor, that is the energy that's transferred into you, overwhelming your system. Now, if you were able to identify the energy and say, okay, I'm accepting this energy. I have no choice. This energy is coming to me. That's outside of my control. Now, what do I do with it? Do I allow it to debilitate me where it's comfortable and feels natural to lay on the floor and want to die? Or do I convert it into what we want to accomplish going forward? Now, of course, to do that, you can't do it selfishly, right? Like no one would ever say, okay, your kids got taken from you or something really bad happened in your life, and you use that energy to move to China and start a new family and create the next McDonald's there, right? That would be really disrespectful. That would almost be flagrant. Like I wouldn't be okay with that. But if the energy coming in serves the purpose of the same output that the energy has going out, well, now what did you do? Well, you took a bad situation. Well, I guess what you really did was you gave credence to the sentence, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So the differences in my days are I wake up 2 or 3 in the morning because I can't sleep more than that. I work till about 6 o'clock. I then go take a walk and or jog till around 9:30. I then come in, shower, run to the computer because we have a 10 o'clock, and then I have an 11 o'clock. And then I spend the rest of the day checking off tasks that we have to accomplish. And I stay so focused on my day as to not think of anything else, because that time that I spent walking and jogging earlier in the day is to be with my kids, right? Mentally, I'm with them. In fact, you could drive by and you'll see Anthony like just running and crying, right? I'm sure the whole town thinks I'm a big crybaby, and that's okay. That's my way of, I was with them, now let me get to work. Because when you could think about it and actually spend that time slowing down and logically thinking rather than just being overwhelmed emotionally, all right, I want to provide this. I want to reach this. I want to do this because of them. Not despite them, but because of them. And if I was unable to accomplish these things because I was so overwhelmed and debilitated with what's going on, how would they look at me when I get older? How would I be seen as? Would I be seen as, Dad, you're the strongest superhero in the world, or Dad, you're kind of weak? Like even though you were correct, you folded and you laid on the floor and died, and look at our life now because you couldn't protect us. So that's the mental rationalization and calculation that happens in the morning. As it gets to the day, that does have a certain deteriorating effect, right? So by 4 o'clock, by 5 o'clock, it's like it starts willowing a little bit. So I stop working at 6, and then I go spend 2 hours doing that all over again, so that I can then come home at 8, eat something nice for dinner, take a shower, watch an hour of TV, and then do it all over again. Now this schedule is completely unsustainable. You couldn't do that every single day, but right now I have excess energy. I'm not even close to running out of energy. It's like, Anthony, just say you went to a movie. You don't need that 5 minutes of preamble. I don't actually go anywhere. I don't eat for taste. I don't know how to explain this, but it feels guilty to find any pleasure in anything that's not directly correlated to Rhino and or my children, and both of which um, cross, right? Rhino is for my family. I fully expect my son will be the next CEO of Rhino, right? Like Rhino is the vehicle for everything in my life that's up until this point, but it still stays the vehicle for everything afterwards. So if I'm working or thinking about them or playing lawyer or something, I can do that infinitely. But when it comes to getting up and eating something or or hey, do you want to have this for dinner? Do you want to have that? I feel guilty. I don't want to find pleasure in anything. It just food doesn't have taste. I want to work. Every moment that I think if I'm being happy about something else, I feel guilty. I can't explain it. It just rips my heart out, my face off. I actually went out for the first time yesterday. I went to go see a movie, and I'm like I go get a I'm the person that goes to the movie by myself, right? That's me. I went to go see Oppenheimer, the movie about the atomic bomb and bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Which, by the way, that was really, really. I can't put myself in that position, right? But I think we can say many years later, unambiguously, that was a tragedy. If anything could have been done to prevent that, it should have been. Now, granted, we're speaking about it, what, like 60, 80 years later, so my opinion should not hold any merit. But my opinion still is that. I think that was really bad. But solutions and alternatives, I don't even know where to begin. I'm not there. It was a 3-hour movie, and it was actually quite good. And I came home, and I ate something and went to sleep, and here I am. But I don't think that story was supposed to be 8 minutes. The point of it was, I actually saw a movie last night. Okay, cool. The movie was great. All right, so let's get into it. So Rhino Bucks, I just got the notification that the money has hit the account, so I will be buying some right after this call. So Rhino Bucks will be at another new all-time high in, I don't know, 20 minutes. So as long as you're patient, we have that. Secondly, this entire weekend, I'm going to be spending time putting together the presentation I need to put together for the individual I spoke of yesterday and the last 2 days in terms of, I think we have a very good chance, and I think we have the right person that we can create a partnership going forward where this individual takes a financial role. We continue playing our role, but this individual is not just it's not just a bank, right? It's not just a no face person. This individual lives in Silicon Valley. This individual actually lives in one of the former executives of Facebook's original house, right? Like he's really a very, very important person. And I would actually never say his name because you might even know it. So that's who this person is. And I've had the great privilege that my career started with this person. In fact, when I tell the stories about shorting the market and calling the crash and getting into Facebook, there's actually no individual, whether it's luck or by design, and we know I don't like using the word luck, the person that would have embodied that to the fullest in terms of how much financial resources went to these things that did work out, it is him. And I was 21 at the time. I'm now 37. Like that's 16 years. And I've stayed in touch with him the whole way. In fact, he still reads the emails every day, watches every video, all the rest of it. Rhino Friend is something that really piqued his interest. He got on a call with me immediately. I asked him to get on a call. He texted me back the next day, set up the call for the next day. That's as meaty as it gets. Had a half hour ready, told me shared his interest, asked the right questions. How much are you looking for? How much are you looking for by? What's my compensation? I said, let me get a presentation to you and let's connect back Monday. In which case, Monday, I would have had the presentation to him by tomorrow. I'll check in Monday and say, hey, listen, if you had the time, cool. If you hadn't, make the time. Let's get back on a call. Just make sure you look at the presentation. Things are moving. In which case, I'm very hopeful that I will speak to him at some point next week. The presentation is going to be one of which, and it reminds me of, and not to go off on another story, my favorite football player of all time is Tim Tebow. And that sounds funny because he was like a quarterback for like 2 years. But my best friend, who since passed away, lived in Florida, and his family went to University of Florida. They were all alum. So every year they would go to the games to go see Tim Tebow as a college quarterback. And I went to the games 3 years in a row. And my God, you've never been anywhere if you hadn't been to the swamp. And that's what they call the college football stadium. And it's so, the first year I had no voice for the next 2 weeks. And when you have no voice as an investment advisor, it's like you could have literally nothing and still be an investment advisor because all you need is a phone and your voice. You don't need arms, you don't need light, you don't need nothing. But if you don't have your voice, you have a problem. So it was the first time I actually took off work because I couldn't work. Um, but Tim Tebow had a book that came out. And in the book, he would share stories about how he became him. And one of the stories was he was with, when he was younger, he was with a bunch of kids. They were all bigger than him and they were doing this push-up arm curls with like a 20-pound weight or something stupid. Well, not stupid, but something small. And he was not the last to go. He realized that there was like 4 people behind him. And what he also realized, well, if the first person does 10, the next person is gonna do 11, right? Like you know the number you need to beat. So the benefit or the whatever, I guess the benefit always goes to, or what's the word I'm looking for? The person that's in the best position is the one that goes last because you see the number you have to beat, you can mentally prepare yourself, and you know no matter what, you're going to get to that number. If you're not the last person, where do you stop? You just don't know. So he had 3 people behind him, and he wanted to win. That was Tim Tebow. He always wanted to win. You could not. I remember he lost a college football game, and the speech is still is the plaque that the players hit before they go on the field. That's how powerful it was. You'll never see anyone work harder than me. You'll never, like, all of that. So in the book, I think the kid in front of him got like 25 arm curls. Tim Tebow went to 150. He just kept going and going, and his arm was dying. And the only thought he had in his head was, I need to do such a number that the people behind me don't even think to try. I don't even want them to think about trying. I want to blow them out the water. I want to take the decision out of their hands. They are not even going to try. And when someone does like 12, 15, 25, then 150, you're like, okay, Tim wins. So good job, Tim. Congratulations. That's how I feel about this presentation. That's the caliber I'm going to make it. So I really will be spending all today and all tomorrow doing that. When it's all said and done, I'm going to share it with everyone. I hope everyone gets to see it. But in terms of having it to be private to the individual, like NDAs and stuff, I'll keep you posted during the process. But with that said, I've actually had a lot of complementary ideas that go along with it that I've had this morning. So that presentation and the final value is going to be higher than if it was done yesterday. So everything's going in the right direction. It is that presentation that I am then going to share with my team so that we can start production Monday in the vision of what I presented, which will be good. Everyone is getting their hands dirty and starting to build this Monday. It's happening. So that's that. Rhino Wealth is great. I think we're going to have a position that we could get into Monday. I sent out an email this morning on it. So everyone can be prepared. I will email again early Monday morning, but I do think we have a position that is going to be actionable Monday morning. So that's good. Oh, actually, so let me point your attention to one thing. So if you take a look at Rhino Ledger, you'll see that the number of members fell from 650 to 600. That's not a one-day fall. I actually got a chance to finally do a full-scale audit yesterday. And although the first thing that might pop into someone's head, because it'd be the first thing popped into my head, is, Anthony, your numbers were like 9% off. Like, how is that even possible? You just don't know you're that far off. It's not that. We have so many different reporting bodies. So Kartra has its reporting, Stripe has its reporting. But the thing about Stripe reporting is it doesn't tell you when someone falls off. It doesn't tell you when someone cancels. It's just that their plan's canceled. In fact, it doesn't tell you it because it doesn't always have to be the person canceled. If you have 3 failed payments in a row, you're automatically canceled. The same thing with Kartra. The thing with Kartra, though, is we can take a look at our daily cancels versus new sales. So every single day, that's where that number comes from. So I'm able to say, okay, this is the number we have. Now, this is many people canceled yesterday. There's many people that bought yesterday. 2 canceled, 3 bought. I can add 1 because we had 1 net person. This is how many members we had. This is how much they were per average equals this number. The new net person that bought yesterday, his weekly average is this. Add it to that number, then divide it by the new number, and you get the proper numbers. Like the numbers are always on point. which is why we do the audit. Listen live, good to be. Hey, oh my God, Rick is in the house, which is why the numbers are important. But we always do the audit because that's important too. Because again, the thing with Stripe is you don't know when the people fall off. They don't tell you. So the way I'm able to gauge when I need to really do that audit is twofold. One, if I hadn't done it in a month, just by default, I'm always going to do it every month. And secondly, if the projected income amount per week, because again, you have the number of members times the average equals the weekly number. I see how much comes in every day. I know how much comes in the week. So if those two numbers are near each other, like plus or minus a couple of percent, I don't feel I need to do the audit because I feel everything is where it should be, which is what happened in this situation. Yeah, see, and it just happens. Cards get canceled, like things happen. Which, by the way, we have a solution for going forward in terms of the presentation I'm going to make. So again, just think of what we're doing as beta 2.0. Something much bigger is coming. But the point of the story is that was this situation. Our weekly number did not change by much. It changed by, I think, like $200. It changed by like $35 to $40 a day. So times 7, 40, $280. So that's not a number that really catches my attention because that's a number, maybe one of the people that are sitting at 100, their card got declined because insufficient funds, right? Like there is a certain, I would say 5 to 7% variation every week, depending on each individual's particular situation. Because again, we're really well protected by having so many people. But having so many people also means you're going to have an increased number of little things that happen because there's so many people that little things can happen too. So if you take a look at the ledger, you'll see it went from $650 at an average of, I think, $11.49 a person to $600 with an average of $12.24 per person, which is why the weekly number really didn't change. So that's why I just did the audit because I want to do the audit. On top of that, what's not shown in the audit, or not shown in the ledger, which I really should find place for. Oh, there it is. So we've had $3,600 purchased as one-time bump ups over 14 people. That's $257 per person. Now, when you average that across the 600 people, so let's see. So 600 divided by 3,600. No, 3,600 divided by 600 equals $6 additional per person. So where does that fit into the numbers, right? Like, how do you fit that in? It's not a weekly number, so you'd have to do a one-time, a new column. But my point is, if you were really looking to get to a real number, at least in your head, say you took that 6 and stretched it out over, I don't know, 10 weeks, right? Or even more, say you stretch it over 12 weeks. Well, that would mean for 12 weeks, each person is now worth 50 cents more. So could you say that over the next 12 weeks, or at least over the previous 12 weeks, each individual is worth $12.75 rather than $12.24, which would equal a number that was higher than our weekly to begin with? All of this isn't trying to confuse you with fancy math. It's just trying to share a couple of thought avenues that would lead to the same conclusion, that A, I'm clearly not happy with ever having to correct something from 650 to 600. But in terms of me trying to state my case as of why, it's just a unique scenario where it just never jumped out at me. And to that point, no bad came of it, right? It wasn't like we just sat here and said, oh my God, we didn't know that our company's only worth half as much as it was yesterday. No, everything that happened, it was almost just like an accounting error. Everything else is fine. In fact, it's even better than we thought it was. But that being said, I do apologize for that. So just want to share. So that's that. So I think that's it. Rick, you're the best. Let me run, because again, long day today. You know, it's funny, I'll leave off on this. I'm so excited to have tomorrow off so that I could catch up on all my work. You know how sick of a sentence that is? That I'm so excited that tomorrow's a day off for Rhino, that I could spend the entire 12 to 14 hours working on the things that I need to catch up on. Like that, I can't tell you how excited I am for that. And when anyone ever wants to know who's Rhino, I feel like that sentence says it. So whatever. Love y'all, and I'll see you Monday. I do want to do something actually for prompt tonight because someone asked me about that. So it'll be an email. It's not going to be a live, but I'm going to put something together. So for those in prompt, I will have an email by the end of the evening. Anyways, that's it. Okay. Love you. Bye.